Welcome back to That's Gonna Cost You. This is Rachel, and it's been a little minute. I'm not gonna lie. The last episode that we did was probably about 6 weeks ago, and I've been trying to aim to do this at least once a month. But when I got back from Vegas a couple of weeks ago, which we will definitely get into, I just wasn't feeling right mentally. Like I wasn't feeling my best. And I think a lot of it has to go into number one, just doing a really quick turnaround trip and just so many different things taking place and going on. But then also the drinking, because you go on a fucking bender like that, you're drinking every day, all day, barely have time to stop and breathe and eat. It can take a toll on you. So I will definitely go into that. But a couple updates here. Back in Sacramento, back in my normal routine. So we're definitely getting things back on track. I definitely, for the first week, I was going through it. I was waking up late almost every day. I was constantly overthinking what needs to take place in my business. I felt like I was stressing a lot. But now that I'm back in town, it's literally about to be August in 2 days. And this entire month, I'm basically staying home. I don't plan to go anywhere unless it's maybe for like a last minute work thing only, like a deal. But besides that, like might go, or no. At the end of the month, I'm planning on going to my 10-year high school reunion for a high school that I went to in Washington when I was a kid. But that same exact weekend is one of my good friend's 30th birthday, and she wants to have it in Miami, and she is having it in Miami. So if only my 10-year reunion was in Miami, it'd be fucking lit. But I have to think, I mean, how many people would actually choose like their 10-year reunion over Miami? Not a lot, right? Like 10-year reunion or any reunion, Miami. Like, who doesn't love Miami, right? But what I would say is the 10-year reunion is on my bingo card. So my 2025 bingo card, I want to check it off. I want to mark it off because I already marked off my one that I graduated from, which is like crazy. How many high schools did I go to? I went to 5. So I'm only wanting to go to 2 out of the 5, and it's mostly because they're both really significant. So the one that I graduated from, I've spent my last 2 years there. I have my best friends from there. I even helped put the fucking reunion together, even though I wasn't there all 4 years. But then I have this one in Washington where I spent most of my childhood and like growing up type of years there. And that's also where one of my best friends, the one since 3rd grade, is there. I had a lot of experiences at that school, a lot of good, a lot of bad. I met my first mentor who was a basketball coach to me out there. And even though I still go back and visit, just a 10-year reunion would be different. And historically, 10-year reunions are known for having almost nobody show up. I will definitely be one of those people that arrives. And I will show my face and we'll see what happens. I'm kind of curious if this girl who we can call her my op, like all throughout freshman year, she was a menace. She did everything to basically ruin my life. And I don't think she's going to be there. She moved in sophomore year. I don't know where she moved. But she was a fucking savage, bro. Like, and this is why, and I don't think I'm going to get canceled for this because I'm white, but there was this guy, the only like white guy for real that I've ever really talked to. And we went to the same high school. I was a freshman. He was a junior. I had just started going to this school. Did I already say the school name? Okay. I had just moved back to Washington, started going to this school. Again, my best friend was there, everything. I knew a lot of people. Everything was great. No problem. Now, however, before I started going to the school, people would give me like little whispers about certain people at the school, right? And like, just tea. And a lot of people said, oh yeah, this girl, like she tries to fight everybody. Like nobody likes her. She's hella ugly. Like everybody was saying all these crazy things about this girl. And me, I'm like, bro, she can't be that bad. You know what I mean? So I start going to that school and I meet her and like, we're cool off the bat, like no problems. Like everything's great. Like it's literally no drama. Right. And I start talking to this guy and long story short, white boy, I mean, he ruined my life. I mean, I guess I could blame myself a little bit, but he had a very large part in why I had such a horrible experience my freshman year. Again, I made my own decisions. There's a lot of things that I did wrong. However, he had told me he had this crazy ex. She was like obsessed with him. she wouldn't leave him alone. Mind you, I'm like 14. Like, I don't know what the fuck is going on. I'm so naive. And that he doesn't care about her anymore. Long story short, he does, right? And they end up back together. That's how it really all ended, just to give you a quick story time. But there's more to it. And at the same time, while he was lying to me about this ex-girlfriend of his who was completely out of the equation, aside from this crazy girl that went to my high school that nobody supposedly liked, but everyone was scared of, she had a cousin who had a crush on the guy that I was talking to. And because, mind you, they never talked, they never did anything. Because she had a crush on the guy that I was talking to, I was automatic, like, enemy number one. Like, you couldn't tell her shit. I was the problem. She was out for vengeance. Like, she was ruthless. And all I remember people saying is, bro, this girl wants to fight you. Like, she says you're messing with him, and like her cousin likes him, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, that has nothing to do with me. You know, I'm already dealing with this guy lying to me about his ex. Like, and then on top of that, I'm thinking he really likes me. I mean, maybe he did a little bit. Anyways, he's still in my DMs to this day. Please. Like, that's also what's fucking crazy, because he's on private on Instagram, but I know he isn't doing shit. No offense. I mean, anyways, I think, karma, is it real? Is karma real? I was watching The Town, the one with Ben Affleck where he's like a bank robber. If you guys haven't seen that movie, please go watch it. But basically, one of the last things in that movie is this quote where it says, it's either Ben that says it or it's something that pops up on the screen. Anyways, it basically says, no matter how much we've done to change ourselves and redeem ourselves and improve our lives, the things that we've done in our past, there will always be a consequence associated with it. Like, we have to pay for our consequences no matter how much we've changed and progressed. So that could be considered karma, right? But I think that ultimately it's not my concern what he's doing now and what he's not. It's not my concern anybody that hurt me, like what they're doing right now and how much their life has, gotten better or gotten worse. Because at the end of the day, everybody's outlook on life is different. If I think that they're doing so well, who knows? Maybe they hate their life. Maybe they're unhappy. Maybe they're not satisfied. So me trying to determine if somebody else is doing better than me or feeling better than me, that is only going to drive me crazy, right? So anyways, she tried to fight me. I'm very stubborn. I'm also not a pussy. And I was raised by a single dad who's a hard ass. And it just was what it was. We fought like 3 times, I think. Like, it was just like a whole shit show, honestly. Like, my freshman year, it was such a mixture of so many things to where I was painted as the enemy a lot of times. And I didn't really care whether people wanted to get to know my side or not. Like, I really didn't even care to explain it, because at the end of the day, if somebody has a problem and they think I've done something, and this is also what we're going to get into, if somebody thinks that I've done something or that I've said something or that I've acted a certain way, I'm going to respect and appreciate that person bringing it to me, opposed to me finding out through a third party. Because if somebody's like, oh, I don't really care enough to bring it up to them, like, it's not that big of a deal. Well, if it's not that big of a deal, why are you telling other people? Why are you going and confiding in other people? I understand if maybe you want a second opinion, or if you want to be able to vent. But if it comes back to me, whoever it is you told, or the individuals that you told, clearly they aren't respecting whatever you said in confidence. And we don't have to blame it on them, but I think that it's important where if you have an issue with someone, I know there's a lot of people out there that are afraid of confrontation, and rightfully so. It can be difficult to have these conversations, especially if they're serious. However, as a grown adult, I think that it's important to build that skill, period, no matter how hard it might be. And that's going to transcend into everything. What about when you have kids, having those tough conversations with your kids having those tough conversations with you? Let's say, and this is obviously like way out of the scope, and it's so serious that maybe I shouldn't even talk about it on the podcast, but let's just say your kid is maybe having somebody act inappropriately towards them. And they're afraid to speak up because they're afraid of confrontation. They just don't know it. They don't know that it's really confrontation. They're just scared to speak up and talk about anything. Well, if you make it known that you're okay with confrontation and it's okay for them to come to you about anything, even if it's difficult, I feel like, in my personal opinion, and I'm sure we've seen it statistically, is like that kid is more likely to come to their parent because they feel comfortable enough to do so, opposed to a parent saying it's not that big of a deal, let it go. No, like, why would I let it go if it's going to bother me? And that's also what I've seen is resentment. If for whatever reason you're dealing with something and you want to talk about it with someone, but they don't want to talk about it, they just want you to let it go, but you guys keep that relationship, all these problems that you guys might have had, or arguments, or situations, or things that they've done to really irritate you, it's just all going to build up. And it's going to turn into this large, catastrophic event, which I've seen in my life time and time and time again. Like, one of the most recent examples was over a year ago with my last, and probably never again would I ever have a roommate because of this situation. But it's situations where they're doing certain things that I don't like. Maybe I'm doing certain things that they don't like. We're not communicating it clearly, or we're not having long enough conversations about it, or we're not really getting out how we feel. We're not being honest with each other. And it turns into something so bad that, like, you really can't recover from it. So, and it also goes into this other situation with another person who I actually am excited to talk about because I just saw her in Vegas. And man, there's so much to unpack because growth is a beautiful thing. And when you make the decision that you do want to get better and you want your life to get better and you see more for yourself, it's amazing how much you can look back and kind of feel silly about how you acted and the things that you did and the things that you said, because it just feels like that's a completely different person. And it kind of brings me into, and the reason I say this is because my mom had a gambling addiction, and I guess you could say she has one, because they say you never really stop being an addict. Like, you always come in and you say, you know, I'm an addict. But in the 12 steps, they talk about finding a higher purpose, like whatever that may be, God, the universe, some type of spirituality. And sometimes, to me, when I think of a higher purpose, I think about my purpose in general. Like, who do I want to be? What do I want to stand for? Who do I want to help? Who do I want to impact? And I think that's really what helped me get out of, number one, home, like leaving home and going and living by myself, but also stripping. Like, just, it helped me get out of dancing, because if I was to just be like, I don't know what my purpose is, I don't know what I want, I don't know the things that I'm interested in, I'm just going to stay here until I figure it out, which is fine. But you have to actively be searching and like trying these things. I remember when I first moved to Vegas, it was my first time living alone. I had my own apartment. It was great. And I told myself, I'm like, you know, I have all this free time, because I think I was only working like 3 to 4 days a week, like maybe 3. I was kind of lazy my first year. If I look back, I feel like I was a little lazy. I also had, I guess you could say, like, before I went to work, I was always really nervous. Like, I had jitters because it was my first year. I was like, nobody knew what I was doing. I wouldn't drink a lot at that time. And I was still like learning, you know, I was just learning the ropes, learning the game. I was at a new club in a new city. I digress. But one of the things that I had done when I first moved there was, I'm going to try something new every month. So I told myself I want to go to a gun range. I want to learn how to play poker. I told myself I wanted to, what did I say? I have a whole list. I have this shit. Like, I've been documenting this shit for the last 7 years, probably. Not just when I was dancing, but before that. But yeah, you have to actively be out here pursuing more for yourself, right? What else is the point? And I think that's also what's helped me get out of relationships that didn't serve me. For example, with any type of exes or guys that maybe I was talking to that weren't giving me what I needed in regards to just the type of person I would want to be with. It's so easy to just be like, no, this won't work. because the person you are and where you're at right now doesn't fit into what I want and where I'm going. Maybe it will, but I feel like the person that's supposed to be in my life, the person that I'm potentially meant to be with, is going to appear and they're going to be ready and I'm going to be ready. And there may be some issues. There may be maybe one person that's not all the way there yet, but it won't be so far off to where you have to force it, right? And it's also interesting because I say potentially you might find someone because I literally just read a statistic. 1 in 4 people will be single forever. Like maybe you'll have your relationships here and there, but ultimately you'll be single forever. So literally 25% of people, do you understand what I'm saying? Additionally, women, specifically women that are in a higher tax bracket, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, 52% of them are single and they will be single for a long period of time. Like they're more likely to be single for a longer period of time. A lot of it is choice because they feel like the individuals that they might have the opportunity to date or that they're considering dating are just not where they're at. I think it takes a certain mindset. Like as your money grows, your mindset grows. Like new levels, new devils. That's what they say. And if you're not growing with the income, they say, they say finances or money is a cruel mistress. If you don't pay attention to it, you could lose it. And I think another thing is whenever your business is starting to grow and whenever your money is starting to grow, you start to kind of develop this ego. Like, we're the best. Nobody can tell us shit. I'm not changing this. This is working, blah, blah, blah. But we've also seen time and time again that experimentation is key in almost anything. And Tai Lopez, as everyone knows, I really like some of the different things that Tai Lopez says, but he literally says you have to be a mad scientist with your business. And you can transcend that into other things like your life. But a mad scientist, like trying different things, putting together different offers, different ad campaigns, different approaches to how you grow, because you're literally sometimes just one idea away in your business, in your current business, from exploding it and 10xing it, whatever it is that all these crazy stories are. Now, for me, I haven't really seen that, but maybe I just haven't been experimenting enough, and maybe I haven't been moving as quickly to experiment. I was just telling Izzy that before we started the podcast, I was in the middle of creating some automations in the business, and I have a list of every single time I come up with an idea in the business or something I want to implement, I put it on this long list of all this shit that I basically need to implement and do. And every single day I'm working on getting that list smaller and smaller and smaller because I really want to make it as efficient as possible. And that brings me into this new book that I'm reading called Main Street Millionaire. Sorry, I almost said Millionaire on Main Street, but I wanted to get it right. That one's by Cody Sanchez. If you guys don't know who Cody Sanchez is, she's all over YouTube right now. She's the newest hot thing in building boring businesses. She is somebody who came from financial advising and wealth management, from what I understand. She was at venture capital firms for, I think, like 15 plus years, most of her career, basically. She crushed it. She did a great job. She had these things that we call the golden handcuffs, right? So anybody that's maybe in corporate America or in a high paying job, they're paid so well. They have these incentives. They have these benefits that they don't ever leave, which is fine, right? There's a lot of people, they like security and safety, and it takes a certain type of person and personality and mentality to go into entrepreneurship. And it's so funny as well, because I was literally just watching this TikTok and this guy was talking about W-2, like job broke, and entrepreneur broke are two completely different things. W-2 broke, 9 to 5 broke is like, damn, like I don't have no money in my bank account right now. I got nothing. Fuck. Well, that's how you feel, but you know a paycheck is on the way. Right? Like, oh, damn, I'm broke. I don't have enough, for this right now. I have to wait until my next paycheck. You know that check is coming because you put in those hours. You have a set amount that you're going to get. Entrepreneurship broke is like, fuck, I'm broke. I don't know when my next sale is coming. I don't know when my next commission is coming. I don't know when my next customer is coming. Like, you don't know shit. So those brokes are so different, but she was stuck in that golden handcuffs, right? She was helping rich individuals get more rich. And most of the ways that they would do that is by buying businesses, acquiring companies that were already doing well. So you see, obviously, like these startups that are funded by venture capitalists, they'll have this big exit, right? Because why do these venture capitalists invest? Because they want to make some money. And she talks a lot about how the wealthiest people, they don't want to work hard. Like they just want to invest their money into shit that's going to stick, things that are going to do well, that are going to perform well. They're investing their money kind of into like that, not the racehorse, but the jockey. The racehorse is the business. The jockey is the CEO or the individual that they're kind of investing in. So they just want to put their money on the horse, on the jockey, and they want to reap the benefits later on. And that's kind of what she talks about. But she says, I was spending so much time and working so many hours to get other people rich. Mind you, she was still doing extremely well. But she was like, what if I was to go in and potentially buy businesses myself? So she made an effort to start buying boring businesses. So these are things like laundromats, service provider companies, kind of like the companies that America's built off of. So like plumbing, lawn care, cleaning companies, postal service companies, things like that, like businesses that can kind of stand the test of time, nothing startup, because she says most startups fail at the end of the day. What if you could buy a business from someone who has shown a track record of healthy profits, but maybe just doesn't want to be in the business anymore? And she gives you strategies on how to potentially buy it with no money down, seller finance the deals, just a ton of different things. And I've really been enjoying the book because it goes into some of the different things I want to do. And one of my biggest goals this year and beyond is to be able to transition. Mind you, I'm still growing my business. That is not going to stop. I want to grow it to be the largest locating agency in the short-term rental and just investment space, and being able to provide properties to individuals that are in the short-term rental arbitrage space, but then also on the investor side and create a finance deal such as subject to and seller finance. So I'm still building my business and I don't plan to ever stop building that business. I have no plans of selling it. I have no plans of getting rid of it, closing it, nothing. I love my team. I love what I do. However, my life isn't built around a real estate company. That's not what I want to do forever. And that's definitely not what I want to be known for, if known for anything. However, when I was reading this, it got me thinking a lot about how to kind of buy back my time, which Dan Martell, who's somebody completely different, talks a lot about in just creating automations, softwares, being able to bring in operators that want to work and want to build the company for you. And of course, compensating them accordingly. However, I was reading her book, and of course, in the introduction of almost any book, hopefully they're setting it up to kind of give you an idea of what you can expect as you read. And in one of the very first chapters that I read, because I am almost done, I'm hoping to finish within the next 2 days. But one of the things she talks about, and I would definitely agree with this, is she kind of talks just again, like a lot of business books they set the wrong expectations. And she says that here's the truth. You'll need to buckle up for the ride ahead. I won't promise you this journey will be rainbows and kittens. The path I teach is going to be hard. Becoming an owner is 10% the business you buy or the business you build, 10% knowledge, 10% talent, and 70% don't fucking stop. Grit is the secret ingredient that makes it all work. Here's what you can expect during the journey to becoming a Main Street millionaire. And she kind of talks about everything that goes into building and buying businesses. And I find that so true because consistency creates results at the end of the day. For you to think that just your talent alone is going to get you to where you want to go, or your knowledge in the space, I mean, knowledge without action is useless, right? Same thing with talent. If you're not putting in the work, like even some of the highest paid athletes, if you're not constantly getting better, then someone's going to outwork your talent at the end of the day. And then just not stopping. Like at the end of the day, it's really just about continuing to go, go, go. And you see all these overnight success. You see all these people on social media that are flexing all these things. But at the end of the day, you really don't know. You don't know. And their journey may be different from your journey. You might see them where they're flexing and they have all these amazing things and they've reached all these goals, but that could be step 1000 for them. You might be on step 27, right? So it's just a matter of who wants it and who's willing to be a mad scientist, not fucking stop, invest in themselves, invest in their people, and do the right thing at the end of the day. And it brought me to this thought that I had. I was literally at the gym this morning and I was thinking about how we were going to do the episode. And I knew I wanted to talk about the book, right? And it brought me to obviously, that insert that really kind of stuck with me. It's just kind of a reminder, like, don't fucking stop. No matter how hard things get, if you have the ability to continue, if you feel in your heart that you're on the right path and it's just a matter of time and consistency, and you know you haven't done everything in your power to make it successful, then why would you quit at the end of the day? Because one thing I saw early on in my sales career when I was in a sales company is everybody has this golden toilet syndrome. It's not the same as the golden handcuffs, but it basically is like, oh, that looks attractive. Like, let me go test this out. Oh, I can make money this way. That seems way easier. Oh, this person's doing that. They've been super successful. I'm going to go do what they're doing. And I saw so many people jump ship to different companies. And for me, when I was involved in my first sales company, I never jumped ship to another company because I told myself, like, have I done everything in my power to be successful in this company? Have I really put in the work? What is going to another company going to do for me? Like, truly, what is it going to do? I'm going to be doing the same actions, taking the same steps, doing the same type of sales tactics that I was doing previously. The only difference is it's a different product or a different service. That's literally the only thing that's changed. Now, I think sometimes it can be important to reinvent yourself. So, for example, with dancing, in real estate, two completely different things, but it's cool to have that diversity and know, okay, I was only dancing for this specific reason and I have an exit plan or I have something that I'm wanting to do afterwards. I think that that's good. But in real estate, I could do it forever. I might do it forever. Who knows? I might constantly invest. I might constantly build, constantly advise, like whatever it may be. But I have so many other topics, industries, things that I want to be involved in. And why do I need to feel like I'm limited to just real estate? But it brings me to my business is doing well. Why would I let it go for another industry when I could do both? I don't have to be tied down to one specific thing. But it also taught in my head when I was working out, I was like, there's no playbook that teaches you how to win. There's literally no manual that shows you how to build a business, be successful, and make this X amount of money in this X amount of time. There might be things and theories and ideas and habits that you can implement that can help you get there, but there is no step by step. If you do this, this will happen. There is no guarantee. That's what you have to understand. Imagine working for 10 years in your business. All you can think about is, I want to make $1 million profit a year. I want to make $1 million profit a year. Like, that is literally your goal. Let's say you're doing everything in your power. You're literally doing step by step by step that you think is going to get you there, and you don't get there. What if you never get there? Like, are you willing to take that risk? Why do people become entrepreneurs? There's a lot of different reasons. They think maybe the money. They find out really quickly that it's not as easy as you think. I was literally just listening to Cody Sanchez's podcast, but she had Gary Vaynerchuk on there. And he literally said, because everyone thinks making $1 million is so easy, making six figures is so easy. It's definitely got easier because of just how much shit is. And also six figures, is six figures hard to make? Like, I actually would like to know everybody's personal opinion on that. Like, is six figures hard to make? Because what is that? Like a little over $8,000 a month. So is six figures hard to make? I guess it depends on where you live. Maybe in California, it may not be as hard. Maybe in New York, it may not be as hard. I really don't know. I'm kind of curious. Is it really hard to make six figures? And when I say six figures, I literally mean bare minimum 100,000. Like, is that hard? Does it depend on your degree? Like your schooling, does it actually depend on that? I'm kind of curious about opinions, but forget the six figures. Gary Vaynerchuk is talking about, do you know how hard it is to make $1 million? Do you know how hard it is to make $1 million a year? It must be pretty fucking hard, because if not, everybody would be a millionaire, right? Or everybody would have some type of way that they're making all this money. I mean, even lawyers, right? Like, I was literally talking to, I think I told you guys on the podcast, I had a conversation with this local attorney, and he was talking about how fucked up the system is, right? But he talks a lot about as well, like public defenders. They may make six figures, but they're making low six figures. Even sometimes like court appointed attorneys, like you're appointed an attorney, not a public defender, someone different. And they're only getting paid like $96 an hour. But you go to those attorneys that are charging you by the hour or private attorney, they're like $500 an hour. But even then, in order to make like $1 million, you have to either be one of the best or you need to be a part of a firm. You need to work a fucking shit ton of hours and you're still trading your time for money. So can we make that make sense? Until you become a partner, then you're kind of dipping from like the pool of the different people. Same thing with Cody when she was talking about how she worked in the financial firms. Only until she got to a certain level was she able to reap bonuses and like pools of like additional income and things like that. But that takes years. That takes like fucking 10 plus years. And I think that's on the low end, to be honest. I actually just went to my my guy friend's work party this past weekend. And he works for a law firm as a law clerk. And it was just like a nice little family event. A lot of families there. It was a personal injury law firm. And they had promoted someone to partner. They were first talking about how when he first came to the firm and they were reading off some of the different things on his resume and just how far he's come. I think that his resume when he first started working there was from 2013. So 2025, 12 years to become a partner. I mean, you have to choose your hard. You have to choose what you want to do. I think that a lot of the times people get into entrepreneurship for all different types of reasons. But I think one of the main reasons that they stay is because number one, they're unemployable. Like they don't ever want to be locked down to a job where they're required to work a certain amount of hours, where they're kind of at the mercy of their boss and the company that they're with. Or they just really enjoy the freedom. They'd rather be broke and be able to do whatever the fuck they want than to be working for whatever the amount of money is that they're working for. And again, feel miserable. I feel like mine was a mix of both. I've literally been fired from every single job I've ever worked at. Like, I'm not bullshitting you at all. My first job was McDonald's. I got fired. Who gets fired from McDonald's? Honestly, like that takes a lot of fucking effort. And mind you, that was my longest job besides dancing, 18 months. We don't have to count dancing as a job. I would count it as like independent contracting, whatever, freelance. I had a good amount of freedom and I enjoyed that. The money was also amazing. However, I got fired from those clubs all the time. All the time. I had to come back with my tail between my legs. I'm sorry. I won't do it again. La, la, la. Like, literally. But ultimately, I knew that they were going to draw the line. Like I say it all the time. They're going to draw the fucking line. They're going to tell me, you can't come back. And I'm going to be on my ass, working at these poo-poo ass clubs. And I'm not going to know what to do. And then I'm going to be like, fuck, I didn't get to go out on my terms with my story. Right? And there's still things that I wish I would have done differently. But I talked about in the most recent episode how I would never go back. But I still have this itch, right? And I just recently went to Vegas. I went and saw one of my close guy friends who was out there visiting. He was there just kind of catching up with people in Vegas. He lives in a different state now. But we were hanging out, of course. And he had a client there that wanted to go to the strip club. So where'd we go? We went to one of my old strip clubs that I used to work at. That was their idea, not mine. But I was down, of course. And I walk in, you guys. I literally walk into the strip club because I worked at two that were really, really good that I'm always gonna like recommend and vouch for. There was a third one, it's all right, but I would say the top two that I worked at were my favorites. And one of the ones that I work with, I'll call this club number 2. There was a host there that I fucking love. Like when I think about these mentors that I've had in my life, like Coach Kenny, or I have a few different friends that own businesses that I look at them as mentors and confide in. And I even have people that I follow on social media that I look at as mentors and I listen to. But this gentleman, I remember, because the strip club can be really ruthless, right? And a lot of the times, hosts don't give a fuck what you're going through. I remember on my birthday, I was having a really bad birthday. I was working. I don't know why I would work at the club on a birthday. Maybe I thought I was going to make more. But I feel like for my birthday, I always set myself up for disappointment because I tell myself I don't have expectations, but in the back of my head, I do. And then when it doesn't go as planned, I get really emotional. And I remember I was crying in front of this host. I think I had said some shit. And I was just really going through. I'm telling you guys, I used to be very like, the club is so draining. But he was like, no one told you to come to the club on your birthday. He was like, just being really, really rude. And I was just like, fuck you. Like, I didn't say that, but I was really sad. And I remember I had gone through this experience some guy in the room was just being really degrading and disrespectful. Anyways, I was talking to this guy about it and he just had my back. Like he was just kind. He listened. He cared at the end of the day. And he ended up becoming a really amazing friend and somebody that I fucking love and wish nothing but the best for. And I walk in club number 1, because again, he was at club number 2. I think he was there for he had been there for 15 years, never could could consider him leaving, never would think that he would ever jump ship ever. And if he did, hopefully it'd be for me and whatever I choose to do, right? Like that's always been the back of my head type of thought. Like, who do I really appreciate and love from my past and that I've met along this journey that's done good by people that I would ever want to bring with me to something that I build later on? Like that's always the intention in the thought, right? But I walk into club number 1, okay? And who do I see? Him right there in front of me. Like I didn't even need to go to club number 2 to see him. He was at club number 1. He now works at that club, which we didn't get into why he's now there. He was obviously working. He was really busy. But seeing him just filled my heart. Like it made me so happy. And then I walk over to the back of the club where there's the bathroom. You know how sometimes in certain big cities or even at clubs, they have bathroom attendants. So there's this woman there that I built a really great relationship with that would work almost every night. And she was there. She just happened to be there. And I literally saw her, bro. I started crying. I was so emotional. I was so happy to see her because these are people that I built relationships with. These are people that have seen me in a different form, really. And they're people that loved me and cared for me and treated me with respect. And they treated me right. And I treated them right back. So going into that club, it didn't make me miss it at all. I actually feel like that was kind of needed and necessary to be I'm glad I'm not here. And sometimes that's what it takes, right? I have to put myself back in that environment without doing it to be no, I'm on the right path. This would do nothing but prevent me from getting to where I need to go at the rate that I'm going, right? But there's a lot of things that happened that weekend. And I always tell people, no matter what, if I have a falling out with someone, I really don't keep any bad blood. If they have a problem with me, with something that I did, and I find out that they never confronted me, but sometimes it's obvious. You know when someone that stops kind of fucking with you, or you stop fucking with them and you guys both kind of know it, you just go your separate ways. But you don't really talk about it, but then maybe you hear from someone else that they were talking about it and they have this perception of you, or maybe they say that you did this to them, but you have no idea you did that to them, or they have the wrong idea, but you truly don't care enough to go and address it because it's been so long. And if they really cared and had enough respect for you and had enough respect for themselves and had enough confidence to come and confront you about it, then maybe you guys would be in a different position. But that's a them thing. Can't take it personal. So I really don't ever have bad blood with anyone. There is literally nobody in this world besides 2 people that if I saw them, I'd be like, fuck you. Those are the only 2 people. But even if I saw them, I wouldn't go and crash out if I saw these 2 people, right? I wouldn't crash out, but I am not giving them any attention. You don't exist to me. You don't matter to me. And I have no ill will. I have no revenge that I'm looking to seek. It's just, I don't fuck with you. And I don't think there's anything you could do that could bring you back from that. Truly. There's only 2 people. And the individual that I saw in Vegas, this girl that I used to be extremely close with, she is not one of those people. She's not one of those 2. If I was to ever see her, which I would always tell myself, it's all going to be love. There is no hate in my heart. I just know that she should not be in my life, or we should not be in each other's lives unless it was later down the road under different circumstances. And this is somebody that I built a really strong relationship with. I think that, wouldn't you guys agree that it's a little bit harder as you become an adult to build strong relationships and friendships, lifelong friendships? Because I look at my friendships now, the one from 3rd grade, my best friend from 7th grade, it was just her birthday. She just got engaged. Finally, one of my close friends finally is taking those steps. And they're getting there because I have been waiting to go to a wedding, a baby shower. I'm literally excited, right? But all of my closest friends are either single or they're just dating and they haven't moved to that next step. But this friend finally did. I'm so excited because she is a great person and I love her and I'm glad she found her person and he's a great guy as well. So I have these lifelong friendships, right? And I have these strong relationships that I could never see ending because we've seen each other through these growth stages. We've already been friends for 10 plus years. Like, I don't see that ending. We understand each other. And unless either of us were to completely fuck each other over for whatever reason, really don't see that happening. Now, that being said, adult friendships can also be extremely hard because you don't know how this person grew up necessarily. You don't know the things that they've done in their past. You don't really know someone truly until you've spent a good amount of time with them for at least a year or longer, I'd like to believe. And I also think that you need to have some type of argument, like not a huge argument, but some type of argument about something in order to really determine, are we gonna stand the test of time? Like, are we really gonna be friends long term? And I had a lot of these situations with this girl. We had a lot of little petty arguments. We had a lot of falling outs. One of the first years that I knew her, this was my first time ever living in Vegas. We had met each other in the club. We both were from California, so we kind of clicked. She was fucking crazy, but she was so much fun. And we had this falling out over like a private party and her keeping a large portion of the money instead of splitting it up. And it was her dude in her ear, blah, blah, blah. So we stopped talking. I had moved to Dallas at the time. So I was working out of Dallas. The pandemic hit. And then I moved back to Vegas, where I ran into her at an eyebrow threading salon out of all places. We literally ran into each other. And I think from there, we both talked about like, oh, what club are you going to work at when when the clubs open back up, blah, blah, blah. And we were talking about that. And then from there, we built a way, way stronger friendship. She was no longer messing with that dude. They were completely done. It was just her and her son. And we just built this great friendship. We were together every day. We talked all the time. She was like a sister to me. She was the only person from the clubs that I brought around my family. She met both of my parents. Okay. I don't introduce nobody to my dad, not even guys, like nobody. Okay. Very few people have met my dad. Brought her around my dad. Mind you, she has a fucking huge BBL. So I'm over here risking my stripper identity for her. So that just shows you how much I love this girl. Like, I'm over here risking. She called me fucking Lauren half the time, which is my first ever stripper name I used. She would be calling me Lauren by accident. Like, bitch, are you serious? You're really trying to blow up my spot, right? Like, there's so many times where she literally probably had people thinking I was a stripper. Well, they definitely thought she was a stripper, that's for sure. But she told him she was a loan officer at Wells Fargo. Because that's what she used to do. But it's just so funny because, like, it was just such a shit show. Anyways, we had our own fair share of falling outs. Like, I'm sure that we both did our own amount of wrong to each other. And I wouldn't say it was excessive. Like, it wasn't anything detrimental until she started messing with this new guy. And I just felt like there was a change in how she would act and how she would present herself and how she would go about things. And she kind of stopped keeping her word. And it bothered me a little bit. So I did approach her about it, but maybe I just went about it in too emotional of a way, because you go from seeing someone all the time every day to now they're kind of doing that with somebody else, which people can call it jealousy. People can call it like envy. I don't think that's what it was. I think it was just a matter of like, you're my best friend. We go to work every single day. We have this relationship. I've told you a lot about my life, a lot of things about me. And what do people do when they start liking someone and they find their person or like their mate, right? Like, if you have a boyfriend or girlfriend right now, or if you have a partner, or if you're married and that person is really like your best friend, you're going to go and fucking tell him, like, bro, you won't believe what happened today with blah, blah, blah. Like, oh my God. Like, or if your friend, like a really close friend, is going through something, they're going to more than likely, like majority of the time, they're probably going to tell their partner. Like, oh, this person's going through that. Oh man, like they're about to get a divorce. Oh, I'm not supposed to tell anyone else, so don't say anything. Like, literally, that's what can happen. So I think a part of me was also a little fearful of that, because I had, like I said, I told her a lot of stuff about my life, and I don't want people knowing my business. Like, it's really that simple. Like, if I get close with someone, even my dad, my mom, there's certain people I've never told anything, because it's my business. Like, it's my safe space. And if I tell you something, it's because I truly trust you. I love you. And I really do need to talk about it. Like, that is truly what it's about. So she had this guy, blah, blah, blah. We had this big falling out at a dinner. There's so many situations that happen with this, but the fucking final straw was us having this huge falling out at a dinner where her boyfriend, ended up being extremely disrespectful to me. And we started arguing. And he said some really hurtful things and she said nothing. She literally did nothing. She said nothing. She just kind of let it happen. I feel like she kind of enjoyed it. Like it just, and that's just me assuming, which I shouldn't be doing, right? But I think that if she really cared about me and if she loved me and if she had a backbone, she would have said something. Because she has a backbone in a lot of other situations, but maybe she just cared for this guy too much. Maybe she just had too much of a connection to this person to stand up and say that that's wrong. Don't do that. Maybe she did it behind closed doors. I don't know. I don't care. But that was really like the final straw. I realized this is not somebody I should be associating with. However, she came back, apologized a ton, and we somehow ended up rekindling and becoming cool again. Now, I was kind of walking on eggshells, though, because although we squashed it, we never talked about it. And I'm going through a situation like that right now with someone in very similarly, like this girl I've grown adult friendship with. I did not know her previously, but we've done so many things together. We both confided in each other in things. There's certain things that I haven't told her because I'm trying to learn my lesson from the last one. Not that this girl really went out and said a ton of things about me or to me, besides what I'm going to tell you. But this other girl that I'm going through right now with is like, there was a situation that happened and she did bring it to me and we started to talk about it through text and then she just kind of let it like stop responding. So at that point, I'm like, because of the situation and what type of situation it is, I'm like, okay, well, you stop responding to me. Like, I'm not going to press the issue. If you don't want to talk about it, that's fine. We won't talk about it, but I'm not going to like go and act like everything's fine until it's resolved. Like, that's me. Because if there is an issue that is truly like hurtful enough, serious enough for you to bring it up, and then we start talking about it and then you just stop talking about it, like, oh, because you don't want to talk about it anymore, we don't have to talk about it. No, like, I think that it's important that communication is key in any relationship. If somebody isn't willing to communicate or isn't willing to respect the fact that you want to communicate, well, then I guess we're not going to communicate. But I don't want somebody that I can't talk to, because if we're going to have a lifelong friendship, if we're going to have a long-term relationship, I should be able to feel like I can bring these things to you and we can have a cordial conversation and talk about it. If you can't do that, well, I don't know if I can stay as close to you in my life, because that goes into that whole resentment thing. What happened with this girl is, and I'm going back to Vegas, is when I lived in Vegas, we had this falling out with her dude, right? And then we became cool again, but we never talked about it. So I felt like there was still that conversation that needed to be had. And the next argument that we got into was over something completely different. Like, it was stupid. Honestly, it was fucking stupid. It wasn't half as serious as what happened at that dinner and the conversations that were had there and how her dude disrespected me. But as soon as we got in this argument, I think I had just pulled up to my house because I was taking her back to her car. And we're literally arguing as we're pulling up. And she says, "That's why your parents don't love you. They don't even know you're a stripper." Like, she starts going on and on about my parents. And it's like, bitch, you've crossed the line. Like, you can say whatever you want to say about me, but don't ever bring my family, my parents, people that you really truly don't know into any type of argument. Like, you have crossed the line. I would never talk about your son, because she has a son. I would never talk about your son or bring up your son. Like, that's just disrespectful. On top of that, I would never bring up your parents, because I know shit about your parents. But when you go for those low blows, when you use what people have told you against them, like, you ain't shit. And I understand sometimes it can come from a hurtful place, high emotions, whatever it may be, but it just kind of shows your character. Like, how disrespectful can you really be? Like, if you really want to hurt somebody, like, you're going to go for that low ass blow. And it's literally like, my parents have nothing to do with it. This argument is so fucking pointless, but that's so hurtful. Like, it's literally so hurtful. Like, I can't fuck with you. At that point, cut her off. Like, didn't talk to her. You can't get in contact with me. Like, I'm good off you. It took me a while to, I wouldn't say let it go. I feel like I just realized I kind of had to go through that grieving period of like, okay, this is somebody that is not my friend. I'm no longer going to associate her as a friend. She is not somebody in my life. Like, she is completely removed. Boundaries are set. Like, do not contact me. But, you know, she had been trying to apologize for a really long time. I guess she tried to get in contact with people and blah, blah, blah. She knew she was wrong, obviously. But I had ran into her at like some real estate networking event. And she got me at a good time because I was tipsy. And she basically came up, apologized to me in my face and, really said sorry and blah, blah, blah. But, and it was it. Because at the end of the day, like, again, that was somebody that I had such a good relationship with. And I know so many things about her. And I feel like I understand part of the reason why she is the way that she is because of the things that she's been through. But then there's certain people in my life, those two people, where they're completely different situations. And they're also people I wasn't as close with. And they're also men. So I just feel like sometimes they should know better. And they just took things way too far, like beyond repair. Like those are people that are beyond repair. Now, words can obviously be hurtful and they can also be beyond repair. But with her, it's like, again, I'm just removing her. Like me having a really big grudge against her. And if I see her like ignoring her, acting like she doesn't exist, like to me, that doesn't really do anything. I really do hope she's doing well. That's truly my hope. But I was in Vegas and the guy that I was hanging out with, he knows her as well. Like he was with us when we were really good friends. He was actually at that dinner that night. He was just in a work meeting. But if he was there, he would have definitely made sure that guy would have never said shit if he was sitting right next to me, to be honest. But because it was a man, it was a guy. I don't even want to use the man and woman. Like it was like a one-on-one. Like he knew that I didn't really have that protection. Like not that I needed it, but it's like a man he's more than likely going to stick up for me. And he probably knew it. He probably beat his ass, to be honest. But because he wasn't there, he felt like, oh, I can say whatever I want. Well, he tried. Long story short, or I digress, but I saw her in Vegas and it was literally all love. Like it was no problem. Like I saw her, I gave her a hug. Like I asked her how she was. We hung out for like the next few hours, but even hanging out with her, like and being in that environment again, especially like the liquor was flowing. And certain situations happened later in the night as it progressed. Like there was this random girl that was her friend that came that I didn't know. And she was kind of like what seemed like an instigator and just a fucking mess, to be honest. But it just reminded me like, this is why you're no longer in my life. This is why I have moved on and progressed to a different level of thinking, level of just self-reflection, care. And I value my relationships so much more now. Like I really do make an effort to reach out to people, see how they are, thank them for their time. And I still have a lot of work to do on that because that's something I really never used to do. I kind of just was like, oh, I saw them. Okay, great. Like, I'm not even going to say thank you, or I'm not going to reach out to them and just remind them, like, I appreciate meeting up. But now I'm really making that solid effort because I think it's important to keep those relationships, especially people that are of value and people that have good intentions and that are genuine. They don't even have to have anything to offer. That's not what it is. It's just a matter of surrounding yourself with good people. So that's all I want to do. And, like I said, I have a similar situation right now with a girl that I'm really close with that I love very much. It's just, I feel hurt. I'm sure she does as well. And if she's not willing to talk about the situation because she doesn't think it's a big deal and she thinks I need to let it go, well, that's not going to resolve anything. Like, if you aren't willing to have a conversation with me about it because I feel hurt, even if you don't feel hurt anymore, I want to say, how is that fair? But how is that considerate? Like, if you love me and you care for me and you value this friendship, don't you want to build upon it? Don't you want to talk about what happened so this never happens again? Don't you want to make sure that there's no resentment, that there's no walking on eggshells, so that way there's not a blow up and no crash out later? I think that that's important. We're going to see how that goes. To be continued. With that being said, I appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. If you have any questions, maybe what you want to see on future episodes, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye, guys.
Calm down before you stress up the groove. The energy a little different when the blessings accrue. Hey, who you talking to? Just know I ain't no regular fool. Could be anything in the world, but I can never be you because I stand tall like I'm on my tiptoes, baby. You think a little too small. I got big goals, baby.